My name is Kelly Bulkley. I'm a dream researcher and director of the Sleep and Dream Database, a digital archive and search engine designed for dream research. In developing the SDDB, I've been acutely aware that I possess no formal training in computer science or internet technology. My doctoral degree is in religion and psychological studies, and I learned many things in the course of my graduate education, but nothing about how to conceive, build, or use a digital database. Well, fortunately, I've benefited from the wisdom of three people: Larry Lessig, Kurt Bollacker, and Jaron Lanier, who have helped me understand how to translate my psychology of religion interest in dreams into the functional mechanics of a digital database. Well, Larry Lessig was in my soon-to-be wife's first-year law school class at the University of Chicago. At the same time, I was a first-year doctoral student at the U of Chicago Divinity School. It was 1986 and 1987, and we spent a lot of time hanging out with Larry and some other frighteningly smart and frighteningly conservative law students. And once I asked Larry what he was doing for fun, what he was up to, and he said he was spending a lot of time in cyberspace. Well, I had just read William Gibson's 1984 novel Neuromancer, which coined the term cyberspace. And I excitedly went off on this long thing about my views of the novel and how Gibson portrays disembodied flows of information in cyberspace. And Larry let me go on, and then said he was spending time in actual cyberspace, exploring the earliest iterations of the World Wide Web. So while I was reading cool science fiction about cyberspace, Larry was actually in cyberspace, figuring it out, studying it, learning about its original development as it happened. Well, I look back on that conversation as planting a seed that's coming to fruition now with the SDDB. In 1999, Larry wrote a book called Code and Other Laws of Cyberspace. And from that book, I've learned the basic principle that everything we create in cyberspace, in the digital world, depends on the choices we make about how we structure information and its access. It's not just machines doing things on their own. It's us making machines that do certain things and not other things. We can make good choices or bad choices about how we design those machines. Freedom-affirming choices or freedom-limiting choices. Thanks, Larry, for helping me understand that. I met Kurt Bollacker through Dominic Lucinci, a statistician in San Francisco who had worked with Kurt on another database design project. I really can't believe my good fortune in having Kurt help me turn the SDDB from several pages of scribbled notes into a highly functional reality. I've learned a little about Kurt's work as digital research director of the Long Now Foundation, and it reassures me that I've found a person who not only has the technical skill to build the SDDB, but also the philosophical vision to see where the digital future is leading us, and how to design the database with that vision in mind. One of the things I learned from Kurt early on was data accumulate value over time. I've adopted that as a kind of mantra for the SDDB. Data accumulate value over time. Information that seems trivial or useless today can be a treasure to researchers in the future. An awareness of that kind of historical dynamic has a practical consequence for building databases. It means we should aim at a simple, flat, and state-free architecture that can exist independently of any specific type of software. Because software systems come and go and are likely to do so more in the future, the best way to create a database that will endure far into the future is to structure the information in a way that will make it easy to transfer from one type of software system to another. And that's a key principle in the overall design of the SDDB, and one that I hope will make the database useful to dreamers and researchers for many years to come. So for that and more, thanks, Kurt. The third person I want to acknowledge as an influence on the SDDB is Jaron Lanier and his book, You Are Not a Gadget, which I read a couple years ago. Here's his new book, Who Owns the Future? Now, I'm a religious studies scholar, so forgive me, but Jaron Lanier strikes me as a kind of techno-prophet, warning us of the perils that lie ahead if we allow machines to become our masters. His books are passionate calls to fight against what he calls cybernetic totalism and the economic power of lord aggregators. I love that term, lord aggregators of the web, whose driving interest is to commercially exploit our personal information. Now, as someone who's trying to build a database that includes a lot of personal information, I've thought long and hard about Jaron's cautionary ideas. And I've done my best to design that study up to this point in a way that will enhance rather than diminish people's freedom and creativity in exploring the world of dreams. Well, I read Jaron's book in the summer, the You Are Not a Gadget book, in the summer of 2011. And soon afterwards, he was profiled in a New Yorker magazine article. The article was actually kind of lame, sorry to say, focusing more on his countercultural kind of appearance and behavior rather than the substance of his ideas. Well, as fate or synchronicity or whatever would have it, the day after the New Yorker article came out, I bumped into Jaron at the market, Andronico's at the corner of Shattuck and Cedar in North Berkeley. He was there with his daughter in the produce section, and normally I'm not likely to go up and talk to anybody, let alone a prominent person. So, but this was just too coincidental, especially after I'd read in Jaron's book about a 15th century text called Polyphyle's Strife of Love in a Dream, a fantastic dream text that I'd never heard of before, and I had just bought it on Amazon and was really enjoying it. So suddenly there's Jaron right there picking through the lemons right next to me. So I went ahead and said, hi, wow, I read that New Yorker article about you. And he said, yeah, he didn't really recognize the person they were describing in the article. I quickly tried to say something to say how much I appreciated the value of his ideas, but I'm not a very quick thinker. So all I could come up with was to say, wow, thanks for turning me on to that Polyphyle's Strife of Love in a Dream. That's such a cool dream text. And wow, I hadn't heard of it before, and well, I'm sure that came across as really weird and off the wall, and so I quickly beat a retreat, moved to the cereal aisle, and that was that. But so anyway, Jaron, if you ever see this, I'm really sorry for stalking you in the Andronico's produce section a couple years ago. What I really want to do is thank you and thank Larry and Kurt again for inspiring the mission, the content, and the code of the Sleep and Dream database. So thank you all.